Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul, and I am delighted to welcome this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, Nancy and Dale Houchens. I found out about Nancy and Dale when I read articles about them in USA Today and Miami Herald. The Houchens retired in 2015 to a life planned well before their last day of work of living on cruise ships. I wrote a feature about the Houchens living on cruise ships in The Joy of Cruising Again in a section called Cruises Like You and Me, Sort of. I've been intrigued about this burgeoning trend for people to live largely or entirely on the ocean. It is not a new thing. Cruise fans who are loyal to Royal know about Mario Salcedo, also known as Super Mario, who left the work world in the 90s and has been cruising continuously on Royal Caribbean ever since. Or Mama Lee Wachstetter, who started living on cruise ships in 2005 and has cruised continuously into her 90s. There are numerous others, and I would love to have you on to share your story with our listeners. After the pandemic, retiring on cruise ships seemed to become a thing, and I would see media accounts of passionate cruisers who have made that move more regularly. Retirees' desire to get closer to the ocean manifests itself in many ways, ranging from equity ownership, long-term lease arrangements with one of the firms selling purpose-built ocean-borne condominiums, retirees who cruise much of the year while maintaining a home on land, to cruisers like Nancy and Dale, who chose to sell their home and possessions and cruise most of the year. Nancy and Dale cruise mostly on Carnival, so much so that they have a parents-children relationship with numerous Carnival staff across the fleet, as well as rich friendships developed with Carnival cruisers. However, they are by no means exclusive to Carnival, as you will hear. Retiring to live on cruise ships remains an option financially out of the reach of most retirees inclined to trade their retirement home for the ocean. Nevertheless, many of us cruisers are fascinated by such retirees. Such a life is the embodiment of the joy of cruising. I suspect that, like me, some fantasize about doing the same thing. I think I could rationalize a virtually full-time life on cruise ships, but I don't think my wife would approve. Welcome, Nancy and Dale, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Well, thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
So how you both doing?
Doing great.
Trying to stay cool.
I can't believe that I caught you at a time you're not on the ocean.
Well, we don't cruise a whole lot during the summer, mainly because it's really hot and there's a lot of things at home that we can be doing. And to be perfectly honest with you, there's a lot of, we'll say, very young adults on ships during the summer because they're out of school.
Okay.
So that's why we usually don't cruise during the summer a whole lot.
So we'll talk about what's next in a little bit. But before we discuss living on cruise ships, tell our listeners about yourself. Where you're from, where you live, what's your background, family, anything you would like to share.
Well, let's see. Charlottesville, Virginia is where I was raised. And I guess, Dale, you were in North Garden, which is all part of, it's 12 miles away from the city center. North Garden is where we live now with Dale's parents, his mother. And I went to private schools and went to public schools, and mine were city schools. And Dale, you went to school in the county. County schools. We met at a bowling alley.
Sure did.
Yeah, we sure did. In fact, my ex-husband introduced us. That's another story.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, sure did. If I'm not mistaken, would he tell you, Dale, that you couldn't afford me?
That's the size of it.
Oh, well, anyway, yeah.
Talk about wanting to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. A fly on the wall. But anyway, that was the one nice thing my ex-husband did, was introducing me to Dale. So what else, Dale? I mean, my father sold Metropolitan Life Insurance, and I've worked a ton of different jobs, and I've got this is my third marriage. I don't mind telling people that. And Dale's number 3 for you too, right?
Yeah.
So I guess 3 times the charm here.
There you go. There you go. So, and we'll talk about the job that you both retired from in a minute. But since we wrapped up our interviews for the Joy of Cruising again, I see from Facebook that you've been on several fun cruises. Mm-hmm. So tell me about them.
Well, let's see, Dale, if I miss any, you need to let me know. I think we've been on Princess and
let me interrupt. We ended our interviews at the end of 22, and I think you had big plans starting with January. So start there.
Oh gosh, which one did we do first?
In January, we did Carnival first.
Carnival, yeah, and then we
did NCL,
yeah,
and then we did MSC.
Okay, and then
not sure.
Which Carnival did you do?
The Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did that. So did y'all ride the roller coaster?
No. I figure I could die some other way.
I can be a wimp, and if I did it, you can do it.
Yeah, there you go.
It doesn't look that bad. We just haven't reached out that far yet. Probably will though.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. I went with I took my granddaughter, and she drove, and what I didn't realize is the driver can control the speed.
Really?
So while the ride was short, we went very fast because my granddaughter was a speed demon.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you could control the speed.
Yeah. So you loved Mardi Gras, I'm sure.
We did.
Oh yeah, we've been on it several times.
Okay. Yeah. So this wasn't your.
No, it wasn't the first time. Yeah, that was we won the Mardi Gras the first time after COVID, after the pause stopped and cruising started again. We started back on the Mardi Gras, but we were on the Mardi Gras, and then we were on the Norwegian Sky, and then we were on
since January
MSC Meraviglia, and what was the other one? Seashore. Yeah.
Now, hey, let me go back to Mardi Gras. Did you have? I mentioned in the intro this notion of ship children, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Did you have any ship children on Mardi Gras?
Oh, yeah. Always. And Celebration. We did Celebration too.
Yeah. I forgot about
both of them.
Oh, yeah. I should know that you have ship children on Mardi Gras. That's right, because when I went on Mardi Gras, you told me about a couple of them, and I looked them up, and I said, Nancy and Dale have some juice, because I got a bottle of champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries and a nice, what do you call it, not inaugural, but I guess it was inaugural season. Inaugural season coin, and which I'll take a picture of my goodies. Well, the strawberries and champagne are gone, but I'll take a picture of my other goodies and use it when I promote this episode.
Oh, good.
Well, we're glad that they were able to share something with you.
Yeah, my wife said, "Who's Nancy and Dale?"
Yeah, we have mostly, and they're mostly female. We do have some male children, but they're mostly females, and they're mostly from guest services. We do have some contacts in housekeeping and
Oh, yeah.
and other different managerial departments, but mainly in guest services. And we really don't. A lot of people go on cruise ships expecting to get something. Uh, they spend a lot of money or whatever, so they feel entitled or whatever. And we never have done that. We don't go on expecting to do anything. We don't complain. If you want to find something wrong, you can find something wrong anywhere you go. So we don't complain a lot, and we always say thank you very much. We're always very appreciative for things that we do, and it just began there. Just started seeing the same people. We've been on ships for 13 weeks in a row. And so when you're on ships that many times, the same ship, you really get to know the people. And then those people go from different ships to different ships. So they'll introduce you to different people. And then the family just continues to grow. And that's how that evolved, basically.
Now, I heard you also mention a couple of MSC ships. So give me your thoughts about Meraviglia. I probably pronounce it differently every time I say it, but we're going on MSC for the first time for Christmas on Meraviglia. I think I said it right that time. What did you think about that ship?
Well,
it's beautiful.
It is gorgeous. I'm going to have to say the MSC ships are probably some of the prettiest we've ever seen. In fact, when we had done two MSC on, was it Seaside, or I don't know. Anyway, it was one of the seas. I think it's Seaside, but anyway, and the ship was absolutely gorgeous. We did not enjoy the cruise because
it was before COVID.
Yeah, it was before COVID, and we didn't like the cruise. The food was not good. The service was terrible. They were just breaking in all fairness, to our market in the United States. And so if you wanted to go pay on your account and you had cash, you'd been in line for felt like 10 hours, but it really wasn't. You get up there and they said, we don't take cash. You'll have to go to a different line. No signage. They didn't have cash for change. Everything was introduced, shows and everything in like 5 different languages before they did the United States English. And we just were not thrilled. So we got a really good offer to try the Meraviglia, however you say it. But anyway, out of New York, and we decided we couldn't turn it down. So we went. We did 2 cruises back to back. We almost always do back to back or back to back to back. But anyway, I loved it. Honest to goodness, I loved the layout of the ship. Everything, and I guess it has to do the demographics of the cruisers on there, being out of New York. They had English was your first thing. You didn't listen to 15 different languages. The food was considerably better.
Absolutely.
Customer service was a 360-degree turnaround.
It was impeccable.
It really was. The staff was very friendly. In fact, we have 2 ship kids on that ship right now. So, we just got attached to them. That's how friendly they were. And we went out and got them some treats when we got off one time, and they took good care of us. But anyway, we thoroughly enjoyed it. I do say they have a meal package. And we got the meal package because we did on the first 2 cruises that we did in the first week, but the second week on that one we did because we were starving. The food was that bad. But on this ship, it really was good.
Yeah, we got the meal package,
but we got it
because we were afraid the food wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
But the second week we didn't spend the money because the food was great.
It was good.
The food in the dining room was wonderful.
Well, I followed along, with your reports on Facebook, and so based on what I saw and based on what you're saying now, I'm encouraged. Not surprised they got that service together sailing out of New York, because I've sailed out of New York a couple of times before. I'm from New York, and that's a tough crowd.
Well,
That's a tough.
I think
That's a
I think New Yorkers are more demanding, I think, than like Floridians or Texans or whatever. So I think they have
oh
to
yeah.
step it up a little bit. But I think it was just back before COVID, pre-COVID, they were just breaking into the United States market more or less. And now they've had some experience here. So I think they know what to expect more. And they really
Uh-huh.
stepped everything up. And I mean, it's just wonderful. We've been on 2 or 3 of those ships now, and there was no disappointments anywhere.
So take us back. Give us a little bit of your cruising background. When was your first? When and on what ship was your first cruise?
Well, now I started cruising a few years earlier than Dale. I'm older than he is. And my very first cruise was on the original Mardi Gras. And then I think I was on, my sister and mother and a bunch of us girls we were on the Jubilee and the Festival, 2 or 3 of them, I think, before you and I. But you and I, our first cruise together was also on the original Mardi Gras, which, by the way,
was it 19?
Well, it was before we got married, before our honeymoon,
1990,
somewhere in there,
something like that.
But Gail, tell them about the bathroom on that Mardi Gras.
Okay, if you or anybody listening didn't have the opportunity to get on the original Mardi Gras, the original Carnival Mardi Gras, and I'm not sure about like the suites or whatever. We were not in a suite.
Interior,
but the bathroom didn't have a separate shower or a separate room for the sink or whatever. It was all in one room with no shower curtains, no step up to get in the shower, no nothing. It was all the same level. So you could literally sit on the commode, brush your teeth, and wash your hair all at the same time.
Take a shower.
Yeah. So I found that very interesting.
It was.
But the ship itself, I've been on fishing boats before out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, or whatever, fishing or whatever, and some pretty big fishing boats for what I thought. But this ship to me at that time was absolutely huge.
Oh my God.
But now, as far as the tonnage and the length and the beam or whatever, it's just tiny compared to what's going on now. But we had a great time, and it was fun. And then cruising there has just evolved into the huge mega ships that it is today.
When you name some of those early Carnival ships, with the exception of the Mardi Gras, you might have heard it, but I had a podcast episode a couple of weeks ago featuring Joe Farkas, and he designed all of those ships.
Wow.
Yeah. From the second one, he wasn't the lead designer on the second ship, but his firm was, and so he was the on-site manager. And then from the third ship on to like the next 30, he designed them.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So check that out. Being Carnival fans, there'll be a lot you can relate to. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we were trying to get on there for a while. We were trying to cruise on every Carnival ship because there for a while we were pretty much solely cruising on Carnival because we felt that was enough for us. But we never cruised on all of them because a lot of their ships only did the shorter cruises, 3, 4, and 5 days or whatever. And so we don't do those shorter cruises. So there were some of the ones that we didn't get to cruise on. But we have now, like we said, ventured out to other cruise lines simply because Carnival doesn't go to the places that we would want to go or whatever. So that was the main reason why we ventured out to other cruise lines.
Mm-hmm. So bring us up to, I think it was 2015. How did you come to the decision to sell everything and cruise virtually full time?
Want me to take that?
Well, it was on Nancy's honey-do list.
No, we worked for a membership
camping resort. is what we worked for.
And I don't mind, I guess it's okay to say the name, you can edit it out. It was Lake Gaston Resort in a little place called Gasburg, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And we had so many people that came in that were full-timers. And they had sold everything they owned, and they had bought these beautiful motor coaches, motor homes, and they spent way up there because this was now their home. Most of them spent what, $350,000, and we used to go to the shows for the resort because you wanted to sign up members to RV shows, and we'd always go in and look at them, and we thought, you know what, getting up in the morning and deciding whether you want to crank up the motor, go left, right, straight, and just, no schedule, that would be a good life. And then that was going to be our goal. And then they'd come up to Dale and they'd say, where's the nearest repair shop? They'd come to me and they'd say, where's the nearest laundromat? Where's the grocery store? And we got to talking and we said, you know what? You still got to cook. You still got to clean. You got road rage going on. That not me. And,
of course, it's always me.
So anyway, we were cruising. I mean, we were still, every year we saved up we never took a sick day. We really didn't. We never took a sick day. I think I missed one day the whole 20 years or something, but, and I had surgery. So
we earned hours and not days. The place where we worked, every payday you earned hours. It wasn't you were there for a week and you earned a week, and then the next year you earned 2 weeks or whatever. We earned so many hours every payday, so we save up all of our hours for the whole year, and we just that was our vacation. We just did nothing but cruise.
That's what we did. And
so you were heavy cruisers before retirement.
Yeah, but not
heavy, meaning probably 4 to 5, 6 weeks a year.
Not even that.
That was the vacation we had.
2 weeks, yeah.
I'd call that heavy.
Okay. Well, anyway, we did free laundry on Carnival. I didn't have to wash clothes. And if he wanted to eat Chinese, he could eat Chinese. And if he wanted to eat at 5 o'clock, he could eat at 5 o'clock. I didn't have to shop for groceries. Didn't have to scrub my bathroom. That made good sense to both of us. And we just figured for the amount of money that we would put into a rig and the taxes and all this kind of stuff, why not just do the cruise ship thing? We had everything we needed right there. So that's what we did.
What was the toughest challenge to deciding to go the route of, as you say, the cruise ship thing versus, let's say, RVing?
The challenge, it wasn't a challenge. Once we kind of figured out, I don't want to cook and clean anymore, and I don't want to have to worry about driving. And I mean, there's just no stress.
The toughest thing for me during the whole thing, there wasn't any big negative concern about cruising over, traveling the country in a big motorhome, but for me, it really hit home. I retired at 58 years old. That was my January of 2016. I retired the 2nd, and she retired on the 9th. She had a wedding or something to do the next week, so she had to work another week for me. And so we had sat there and decided we were going to sell the house. And we were in North Carolina at that time. That's where we lived at that time. And my parents lived back here in Virginia. So we decided, well, we had never got to spend any time with any of our family because we worked a lot of hours and sometimes 6-7 days a week. So we decided that we would move back and live in with my parents and visit them and visit Nancy's family or whatever. And then we could cruise in the interim. And so it was pretty easy to talk about selling your home and everything and all this, that, and the other. But when the day came that you were moving out of your house, that you were packing up and everything was sold, and now you were cleaning the house up to be sold, and now your house was sold, and you were going to the closing, and I'm like, well, here I am, 58 years old, and I've worked all my life very hard, I thought, and I don't have a house. I am unemployed at 58, and I'm homeless,
The challenge for you, Dale, was more, what's the right word? Emotional, psychological?
Exactly. Yes, it was. Yeah. It really was. But that was not long lasting.
So at this point, had you made the decision to not get the RV, or were you still?
No, we had made the decision to cruise at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember a great line you had in the book. It was something like, when you were getting down to trying to decide between RV or cruise, one of you said, "You can't drive an RV to Barcelona," or something like that.
Exactly right.
Exactly right. Yeah. It was good. I guess the biggest challenge for me was I had a lot of family pieces, a lot of antiques. Kids didn't want any of it. So we did what you call an estate sale, and sitting down and going through things and making a decision of what you want to keep. Well, what was the point of paying storage on anything? I mean, so that was that was my emotional thing, parting with some things, but they were things. And what we saved and brought was summer clothes. We just left our clothes there and everything. When we walked out of that house, everything but what would fit in the back of a pickup truck and the back of our car was it. And we just shut the door on it, and then what didn't get sold, we had it donated to, they have a place in Durham and Raleigh, I think, in North Carolina, and we donated it to a thrift store that gives all the proceeds to the Boys and Girls home or whatever it is there. So we just told them whatever didn't sell, just take it on. But that was probably hard for me, just little things,
There was a two-story, 3,500 square foot home packed full.
Yeah, it was. That's for sure.
And we had a pickup truckload of stuff, and that was it.
That was it. It's in a 10 by 10 storage building, and a little bit's in the attic here.
But I will say that if we were penniless at this point and could not do anything else, it's been a great life.
So then you embarked on your life at sea. It sounds so romantic, your life at sea. So you were heavy cruisers before retiring, cruising traditionally. And then you're cruising now where ships are effectively your home. So contrast, the traditional cruising you did with cruising you do now.
I think, and Dale, if I'm wrong on this, interject, please. I'll speak for myself. When we cruised while we were working, that was a vacation. So when we first started, we were in little interior rooms, and as you make more money, you spend more money. And then we went to ocean views, and then we went to balconies, and then we went to suites, and we didn't mind spending $3,000-$4,000, on our vacation or more. When you went to dinner, and we call it lobster night, elegant night. Of course, we used to dress to the T then. Dale wore his tuxedo and I wore long gowns. Of course, none of those fit me anymore. Anyway, I mean, because that's the only chance you get to dress up. So we do that. I think eating, we ate a whole lot differently. If I went to, and they had lobster, I might order 3 or 4 lobsters because you don't get it at home. And you find out you go to every single show and you go to every single restaurant thing and everything, you just rush. And we used to pick it by destination, where we were going then, because we had never been anywhere. And now the difference is, I don't feel like, and again, because we try to stay on a ship a minimum of 14 days. If you don't go to the show this week, who cares? I can go next week. Do I need to go stuff myself at dinner? No, because I can go next week and get it, or 2 weeks from now, or whatever. I don't have to have a suite anymore. The ship is our home. So if I want to wear curlers in my hair and a robe, I can just go up on and be on the open deck because I don't have a balcony. Then I just go up there like I am, because I'm not going to see these people again. I don't care what they say about me. This is my house. Y'all are visiting me,
I like that. I like that, Nancy. This is my house. That sounds like the title of a book.
Well, it's funny because when we first started this, Dale's mom said to us, "Aren't you going to get bored going to the same islands over and over again?" And I said, "You've been going to the same Walmart for 50 years, and you've been going to the same church and the same drugstore. And, so no, we're not going to get bored. And besides, our neighbors change. If I don't like one of them, I don't have to talk to them. They're not going to be here next week anyway. They're going home. And, if you choose to talk to somebody, you can. If you choose not to, you can be. It's just a whole different thing. I mean, it's
the
more
major
relaxed.
difference is it's a whole lot more relaxed and a whole lot more laid back now than what it was if you're just doing a vacation, because you don't have to feel so rushed to get everything in that you can possibly get in today, because you only have 7 days,
Mm-hmm.
and if you do 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, then you don't just have 7 days. So you don't have that hurry up and let's go get this done rush feeling.
I was saying in the introduction that there's been a flurry of articles about living on cruise ships. That seems to be a trendy thing to talk about for magazines and what have you to talk about. But you guys did this well before the pandemic, right? You started 2016.
2016.
Mm-hmm. 9 months.
And then the pandemic happened. I imagine that was particularly tough for you, happening after you had embarked on your new life. Were you on the ocean when cruising was suspended?
Was it the week after?
We cruised the last week.
The next week they shut it down.
On the Carnival Magic the week before they shut down. So we actually, while we weren't on the sea, we spent a tremendous amount of time in Florida, particularly in Kissimmee, Florida, which is just full of resorts at every corner, with the actual condos. We were actually in condos probably 2 weeks a month through the whole pandemic period.
So unlike most of us, you weren't housebound.
No. And I mean, Florida was really hit bad with they were having really, heavy numbers, but the condos that we went to, people were not coming because of that. And they would have these really fancy pools or whatever that would hold 500 people. And most of the time, Nancy and I were the only ones in them because there was just nobody else there. Mm-hmm. So it was very safe, and we just had a great, we had a ball.
So what was your first cruise after the lockdown ended?
It was the Mardi Gras. Yeah,
their first cruise.
Oh, that was the launch.
July, I think, or something. July
whatever their first cruise.
Yeah, whatever their first cruise was. Well, the first cruise where they came back, it was on the Mardi Gras.
And then you just cruised. You just made up for lost time.
Started back when we left off. Yeah, made up for lost time. As a matter of fact, since then, my mother's in her 80s, and my father passed away in June of 19. I'm glad he didn't have to go through COVID, but he didn't have to experience that. But and Nancy and I had a cruise soon thereafter that she told us to go ahead and go. We were going to cancel it, and she told us not to and go ahead and go. So I gave her a map of things that she would like to have seen. Both of them were very thrifty with their money, saving it for a rainy day in case they needed it. So she loved to travel. So I told her when we got back, we planned a trip to Europe, and which we did. So she's been to Europe twice with us, 3 times with us since then. So we've just really gotten back into the saddle since COVID was been over and just picked up where we left off.
So for the listeners who are considering such a life, I know I envy such a life, but I don't think my wife would be agreeable to cruising.
She'd love it when she doesn't have to cook and clean.
Yeah, I might try that on in a couple more years.
You're right. There are some people who, after a week, are ready to go home. So this particular lifestyle isn't for everyone.
Right. So talk about just the process of what you do as far as living on cruise ships. For some folks, it's easy because they just they sign up with one of those ships where you're sort of sort of a resident. They sell or rent condo units on a ship, but that's not the route that you all went. So you just go ship to ship to ship. Although it sounds like you do a minimum of 2 weeks. You do back to back on a ship.
Yeah, we don't do 2 weeks individual.
So talk about what it's like to plan. And if I recall, Dale, you do all of that, right? The booking and the planning and
Most of it.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So just take us through a little bit of that process.
Prior to COVID, we booked far in advance, and it seems like the structure, to me anyway, it seems like the structure of cruise pricing has changed considerably, and I would assume that would be because of all the money that the cruise lines lost because of COVID. I find now that it doesn't really benefit you to book 6-8 months, a year in advance anymore. So we have now since then begun booking closer into when we want to book, as opposed to booking out far in advance.
6 months.
And it's just a matter of being able to navigate through the different cruise lines, actual websites. For those people who work with a travel agent, they would be miles ahead if they would tell them, look, I don't care where it's going. If you can find me a cruise for $1,200 a week or $1,500 a week or whatever their number is, $500 a week, whatever their number is, call me and let me know, because I want to go, because there are always those last minute deals. A retired person, just as we are, has the opportunity to pick up and go. So there's a lot of things that the average person has offered to them that they might not be aware of, that being one thing. And that's what Nancy and I are trying to take advantage of now, more of a last minute thing. And I say last minute, maybe a month out, maybe 2 months out. Before, we will book a year out without any reservation at all.
Well, the first year, though, we had Dale sat down and planned it all out. And he did like, all right, so we're going to go this way. We're going to stay on this ship for 3 weeks. It ends up here. We're going to get off of this ship and we're going to get on this one, walk across and get on this. And I think in that first 9 months that we were out, we spent 3 nights in a motel.
Yeah, the first year in 2016, we spent
out.
9 months on a cruise ship, and I don't think we spent more than like 3 nights in a hotel.
We had to rent one car to drive from one port to the other.
We would get off one cruise ship and literally walk up the sidewalk and get on another one.
Mm-hmm. He did a lot of research and did that.
Yeah.
And I will also interject, because I said something to you about this, Paul. We are travel agents, and we did that because we were offered that through Pulaski Tickets and Tours, because that was affiliated with that where we worked. And we took the test. We went on a work cruise and we did that, and we're home travel agents. And we did that because we knew we wanted to retire on cruise ships and we would get our discount. And that helps us immensely too.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. You cruise, you mentioned that you don't cruise exclusively on Carnival, but you cruise an awful lot on Carnival. So talk about your relationship with the Carnival Corporation.
With the Carnival Corporation?
Yeah. You told me I've got a photo of you standing next to Christine Duffy, so I know you have some kind of relationship.
Well, we just called her up and asked her to meet us down there that day, and she came running on down,
So talk about your relationship, not just with the Carnival crew and staff, but the Carnival Corporation. Do they know you?
I don't know. We were invited to open up the Pride, which was really a surprise to us. I mean, I think they picked us because of how many cruise days we had. I really believe that was why.
When you say open up the Pride, you mean like inaugurated after? I don't know if inaugurate's the right word, but after the shutdown ended.
It was the first sailing after COVID.
The Pride.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds exciting. So tell me about that.
Well, so when I got this phone message and an email. It was actually a text, and then an email from this Carnival person whom I'd never heard of. I thought this is some sort of a scam. Well, I called the number, and it was a real thing.
John Hill.
And it was somebody that worked with John Hill. And backing up, I mean, I met John Hill when he had first become a cruise director many years ago. Anyhow, so it was legitimate, and the lady said that they wanted us to cut the ribbon and be part of that ceremony. And yeah, it was TV stations and all this kind of stuff. And so we did. I mean, and they upgraded us to a balcony. I mean, and we were on there. We were supposed to have been 3 weeks, but they canceled the first week. So we were only on there for 2 weeks.
Their startup.
Yeah, the startup was delayed a week. But it was very, very exciting, and it was very special and very emotional because we cruised the Pride a lot because it's so close to where we are. Yeah.
We didn't have to fly anywhere. We just drive up, spend the night. Back then they had hotels that would take you you just spend one night and they would take you to the port and come back and pick you up. So you didn't have any airfare or any kind of Uber rides or anything. So we cruised the Pride a lot out of Baltimore because it was 2.5 hours from like where we were.
And so we knew most of we call them kids. We did. I mean, we had a lot of ship children there. We knew. Of course, you've interviewed the maitre d', Ken.
Ken, yeah.
Pride was his ship. I mean, his ship. So anyway, I mean, we knew Ken really well, and it was just really exciting and very good. So we had met Christine Duffy before on a couple of ships because we used to do a lot of the transatlantics, bringing the ships like the Breeze and all, bringing them over here, the newer ships. And we had met her several times. So that's I'm sure if you said my name, they wouldn't know us from anybody.
I don't know about that. Did you get to see Ken sing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen him sing lots and lots of times. He's such a good singer. And when we went, I guess did we go to Dublin and stay with your mom and them? Yep. He told us different places to go and all kinds of stuff and things to do. So, yeah, we saw Ken sing. He's really good. Very, very good. He really is.
Yeah, for the listeners and for you, Ken's episode airs, and I don't have my schedule right in front of me, either the week before yours or the week after yours.
Oh, cool. I look forward
to
seeing
a trip. He's a very knowledgeable and funny guy. He's a very personable person.
Let's talk about the future. What do you have booked? When do you go back out, and what ship will it be on?
September on the Magic
out of Norfolk, Virginia. And then October for several weeks, we're on the Norwegian Sky again. Mm-hmm. And then actually I'm going to have a knee replacement in November. So we're out November, December. And then I think we're on MSC in January, and February we're back on the
Vista. We're doing the Vista.
The Vista out of Fort Canaveral. Yeah. Got a big group going on that. 50 or 60 people going with us on that one. And then we have some more MSCs. But then we do have one booked way out. I just told you, I just made a liar out of myself. But we never have been to Asia, and we've always wanted to go. So we do have a cruise booked on Carnival, on the Carnival Splendor, as a matter of fact, out of Singapore, and ends up in Sydney, and that's next August.
Wow, that sounds magic.
Yeah, we've been to Sydney. We have actually been. We took a 43-day cruise on.
There was several cruises.
It was
on the
Carnival Legend. That started in Sydney and ended up in Vancouver. So it went through Tahiti and Bora Bora and those kind of places through the South Pacific. But this one actually ends up in Sydney. But it's going to Indonesia and to different places like that we have not been. So that's why we're doing that. And here again, we got a really good price deal on it.
You know, I ask everyone that I interview what's on their bucket list, and Australia is sort of probably the top choice. Australia, Panama Canal. Have you all been to Panama Canal?
But we've been 3 or 4 times, a couple of times full transit and several times partial transit. But
most of those times were on the Pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what haven't you done? What is on your bucket list? Well, you mentioned the Asia
Well, we'd
cruise.
like to go to Japan and China. And as a matter of fact, the day that we were with Christine Duffy, I flat out asked her, I just said, if I ask you a question, will you honestly answer it for me? And she says, anything you ask me, I will be happy to answer it honestly. And I said, I'd love to go to Tokyo and to China and those places. Do you think Carnival will ever go? And she said, no. And I said, why not? And she said, because Princess goes there. And they're
Okay.
part of Carnival Corporation. And they make their money there. And so she just flat out said no. And I said, well, thank you for being honest. And I asked her someplace else, South America or something, and she said no, because Princess and Holland America go, So that was probably the beginning of us reaching out to other cruise lines. Mm-hmm. And between today and back then, we have sent in, just like where Carnival has their diamond, we become a lead on Princess so that we can get some perks on them, and we get laundry and some different things. And we are diamond on MSC. So we cruised enough on the different cruise lines so that we can get some perks on them. Our biggest perk to us is some like a priority boarding and laundry.
Right.
As far as bucket list places like Dubai and Africa, some places like that.
Africa, most definitely, because Noli was our very first ship daughter, because we spent 13 weeks with her on the Glory. It was her first contract. And her parents actually own a safari place.
One of those safari places where they take, a safari place.
And she's been after us to please come. But I'd love to do that anyway.
Well, you'll be checking that one off. Yeah, that's at the top of my non-cruise bucket list, is a safari. So before we let you go, a couple of fun or light, I should say, cruise questions. So the first one's easy. It's really for me to get some ideas. What's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
Well, lobster's got to be my favorite cruise food. What about you, Dale?
I don't know that I have a particular cruise food. With all the new venues and I keep going back to Carnival, I will say, and you'll find this when you go on the MSC Meraviglia or however they pronounce it, their formal night, they have surf and turf, and they have a filet and lobster. The week that we had it, now you may find it to where it wasn't good for you, but it was phenomenal. So I would have to say that out of all the weeks that we've been cruising in our lifetime, that particular meal was probably my favorite. And I hate to say that because I've been on Carnival for 1,000 cruises, but that was probably my favorite meal. Probably the filet, the beef filet, and the lobster. And as far as the drink, I enjoy a good margarita.
And I'm going to have to say margarita for me too. And I do want to interject, though. There's another food, but they don't do it anymore on Carnival, like gazpacho, which is a cold soup. I don't know if you've ever had it or not.
Yeah. I had.
Let me.
It's like a tomato.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And we had that. The first time we had that was on the Glory. And Bijou's the head. He was the head chef on the Glory. Okay. Made that, but he said, I liked it so much that they only offer it one night. And whenever we were on the ship, he had it made and sent to our room or to the table every single night for me, the gazpacho. And I have his recipe and I make it here at home. And I love that. I do love that. I just made a gallon of it. But they don't make it anymore. They don't do it anymore on Carnival. And they had it on either Norwegian or MSC, and it just was nothing like that. So
they would make it and send it to your room. Hey, hey, listeners! I told you Nancy and Dale have some juice for Carnival.
They would send it in 16-ounce bar glasses.
Yeah, they did.
2 of them
every night, so I could drink it during the night. I loved it. So, yeah, well. And we were going to another ship or something, he would let them know we were coming and tell them to be sure to give us
a cheese plate
or something. They always send us stuff and all, and the maitre d' that we've known for 20 years, who's retired. We went to Croatia to visit him. It's just, we've really developed some really good, long-lasting relationships. They are truly your family there. And then we've met so many people we stay in touch with.
Now, was that the maitre d' who opened up the restaurant?
Mhm.
His
That
name
was
is Elvis.
Oh,
When we met
Well-
him, we were on the Liberty.
On the Liberty.
Golly, years, and that was before we retired,
2 or 3.
90 something, yeah, back in those days. But anyway, he had just become an assistant maitre d'. Through the years, he had children, and we sent presents to Croatia for his newborn kids and stuff. I mean, we just stayed in touch with him, and then he got his own ship, and then he retired, and he has been after us for years, always, just come Croatia.
it's not really reachable by cruise, right?
No, actually, you can cruise.
MSC goes to
MSC.
MSC goes to his town. It's a ZADAR. I call it Zadar, and they call it Zadar.
Well, for the listeners, what's the name of the restaurant?
I
La
don't-
Peglia.
La Peglia.
LA
Okay.
and then there's a space PEGLIA, and it's delicious.
Oh, every night he fixed us we ate with him every single night, and the agreement was that he would let us pay for it. But every night he
A
served
different
us a different authentic dish, and his wife is actually from Ukraine. She's from Ukraine. That's right. So we had authentic dishes that were from Ukraine, and of course from
From
Croatia, and the food is
The
delicious.
food was phenomenal.
Loved it.
Let's move on from food because I'm getting hungry just hearing that. The second light question or fun question is, what's your most memorable or funniest or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
I'm going to tell you because she'll make it sound worse than it is.
Oh, Dale.
It was on our honeymoon,
Ecstasy.
the ecstasy.
And let me tell you, that was
Carnival
fitting.
ecstasy. And so that was like
100
maybe
years
our
ago.
second, it was October of 92, maybe my second or
It was your
second
third
cruise or something.
Third.
Anyway, I hadn't been on very many, so I didn't really know. Weren't very cruise smart and didn't know what was going on or whatever. But we got on the ship. There were all these young kids there. We were in our 40s, 50s, whatever, So we were a whole lot older than everybody else hanging around the pool. But they were doing this ping pong ball game, and you jumped in the pool and you had to stuff ping pong balls down each other's bathing suits or pants or tops or whatever.
And let me preface, this was before they put, things were sort of, you
Yeah.
couldn't do things now they do this.
Everything's politically correct.
Yeah.
Back then, it was not politically
Yeah,
correct.
you literally stuffed.
I mean,
I
yeah,
stuffed in him and he stuffed
Right.
in me. Now when they do that,
yeah.
well, they do that still on Journey Cruises on Carnival, but they put a T-shirt on. But let him finish telling you.
So anyway, so all these little young jock guys were in there with their little skimpy little bathing suits, and the little girls, they had their little skimpy little bikinis on, and so there's not much material in either one of them to stuff ping pong balls in. Well, I had a pair of shorts on and a pair of regular underwear on, and Nancy had probably shorts on.
No, I had a one-piece bathing
a one-piece bathing suit, excuse me. Okay, so I had a lot of material that would hold the ping pong balls. So I said, well, she said, well, let's do it. So we jumped in the pool, and I'm at that point, not today probably, but at that point I was up for anything. So she started stuffing ping pong balls in my pants. Well, my underwear held them in. Well, the other people, they would stuff them in their little bathing suit. Well, they'd come out the bottom of the leg. Well, mine stayed in. So I looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy or the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man,
You look very well endowed.
Yeah. So we won that. Yeah. So that was probably, and it was a little embarrassing getting out with 200 ping pong balls stuffed down your. I mean, the Michelin Man didn't have anything on me,
Yeah, and mine was stuffed very well because he was stuffing them down me, but I looked like I was pregnant. And the CD really made it because he kept saying, "Boy, this man has a lot of balls," and he was making it funny. It was good.
Yeah.
You don't remember who the CD
No,
was?
I have no
I do
idea.
not remember that. That was before
But
I
that
paid
was
much
October
attention.
that was October the 10th or 11th on the Carnival Ecstasy.
Sure was.
Yeah.
And I guess my most embarrassing thing was they have a very risque is not as bad now as it used to be. It is in Australia though, but they have what's called the Quest, and they do this usually on journey cruises. They bring back all the fun things that they do, like the ping pong ball thing, you know.
And let me just clarify for the listeners. So journey cruises, that's a carnival.
It's a 14-day or longer cruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is, like you said, it's a specialty, and
Yes.
they do the throwback. They do all the things they used to do back in the 70s.
It's a game.
And it's a game, and it's an adult game, and it's held late at night. And if you don't want to be insulted, just like they have the comedy shows on Carnival, if you don't want to be insulted, then just don't go. But this is a lot of fun. One of the things was you're divided into teams, and you try to get up on the stage first, and then you get points, and they give you a time thing. So one of the things that they wanted you to do is they wanted you to bring to the stage a sock with a hole in it. Well, not many men or women on there had socks, but there was this one man, and he was up on the back row, and I saw what he had on, shoes with socks, and I said, "May I borrow your sock?" And he said yes. Well, I chewed a hole in his sock, and I got up on the stage, and I was like the first person up there, and the Steve just laughed. He said, "I can't believe you did this to this man's sock." He said, "It has a hole in it where he puts his foot in it." Well, I was a little bit embarrassed because that was kind of stupid of me not to realize, oh yeah, it's already got a hole in it. So I was embarrassed. And then we sent the man a bottle of wine because I destroyed his socks. Anyway, but that's, if you ever get to go and they have quests, you need to go. I think I embarrassed Dale on one of them. We went to one and they wanted the first 5 people on the stage with a woman's bra. Well, I slid mine off under my clothes, and of course, Dale got to run it up there. But I think you were a little embarrassed by that. That's the one where they had you dress up as a girl.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway.
So the oddball question, you have a large following. Welcome to the many friends and family of Nancy and Dale listening. I posted your photo and one of the stories that you've been in. And I posted it on the Joy of Cruising podcast Facebook group. Since posting that, the group has grown significantly, and I suspect a lot of those people are your friends. So, and that post has a lot of likes. So you have a large following, and welcome to the many friends and family. You share one thing that my listeners and even your friends and family don't know about Nancy and Dale.
I guess people think we're rich because this is what we do, but we're not. I mean,
Well, you say you're pretty much an open book, and now you're even more of an open book because you're in a book. And so the whole world's going to know about you. I'm exaggerating, of course. I wish the whole world would, 0.0000001 of the world would buy the book.
I'll tell you what, and this is one thing I will say. I guess people might think that we get something from Carnival because we praise them all the time. We don't get any breaks.
People think that we get breaks from the prices and stuff because we cruise them so much, but we don't get any price breaks. People say if you stay on a ship 13 weeks, but boy, didn't you get a good price on? No, we get the same price every week, week in and week out. But we haven't really done anything like run down the street naked or something, holding whatever, There's nothing really interesting about our lives other than we're just, we're just regular people that decided to do something that was irregular. And so far it's turned out and been wonderful. We've seen some very beautiful sights and sceneries and met some wonderful people, have increased our family by the children and stuff that we have on the ships and the people that we made long-term relationships with.
All righty. As they say, I will see you on the ocean.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, you all, and I'll be in touch with you soon.
Okay, Paul. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.